tonight.
Just didn't seem like that would be possible.
Her friend was killed when their SUV was shot near Weyburn. Now she's speaking out. Optimism reigns as Trump's Mideast peace plan is signed with the goal of ending the war in Gaza. And the Riders get ready to battle it out for first place on Friday.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, October 9th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. The Saskatchewan RCMP are still investigating a fatal highway shooting near Weyburn that killed 44-year-old Tanya Myers. But Myers' friend, the driver of the SUV struck by that bullet, is now talking exclusively to CBC about what happened. Katie Swires has our top story.
Andrea Morris still can't bring herself to drive a vehicle, ever since the day her friend Tanya Myers was shot in the passenger seat. The two were driving home to Weyburn after a great day together.
We just heard this loud bang, and I could feel it in my neck and my ear, and I thought, oh my God, is that how loud it is when you blow a tire?
But then Morris realized her friend was in pain and called 911.
They stayed on the phone with me until the paramedics arrived, and she kind of leaned forward and just quietly said, "It feels like I've been shot."
The two women were traveling this stretch of Highway 39 on September 12th when the bullet struck their SUV. The RCMP have said they do not know if the shooting was intentional or accidental, but they do not believe that the shooter targeted Tanya Myers.
I said, my friend said it feels like she'd been shot, but obviously that's not what happened because that's ridiculous. We're 3 minutes from Weyburn. Things like that don't happen here.
But then Morris walked behind her vehicle.
I could see them doing compressions in the ambulance, trying to revive her. And then I saw the light shining on the back of my vehicle, and I saw the hole there on the end gate of my car. And so then I quickly went and opened the side door, and I could see a hole coming through the back seat, going through the back of the front seat. And I just hollered, I think she actually got shot. Like she was right. And she was telling me the whole time, but it just didn't seem like that would be possible.
Now, Morris is working on grieving her friend, an animal lover who was always willing to help others. She's also urging anyone with information or the shooter to come forward.
If someone is sitting at home and feels incredibly guilty that this happened, that they were the cause of it, I really just hope that they would come forward.
She wants closure for herself, her friend's family, and the community. Katie Swires, CBC News, Weyburn.
The province's serious incident response team says an Estevan police officer will not be charged for shooting and killing a teenager. In 2023, the officer shot a 19-year-old after he'd been arrested for fatally stabbing his mother. The shooting happened while the teen was being processed at the station. The suspect was able to grab an officer's gun and shoot him in the stomach. During a scuffle, a second officer shot the teen twice. He then died after surgery in Regina. The wounded officer spent several days in hospital. CERT says the officer who shot the suspect will not be charged with any criminal offense. 5 years after her death, we are finally hearing how Megan Gallagher was killed. In dramatic testimony at Court of King's Bench in Saskatoon Thursday, a man who admitted to his role in the murder detailed what happened in a Saskatoon garage in 2020. Scott Larson reports, and a warning, some of the details in this story are disturbing.
Robert Thomas was in the garage where Megan Gallagher was murdered. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder last year for his role in her death, and now he's testifying at the manslaughter trial of Roderick Sutherland. Sutherland has pleaded not guilty to manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and offering an indignity to human remains. On Thursday, Thomas told the court Gallagher was tied up in Sutherland's garage because he thought Gallagher had ratted him out to a rival gang. He testified that Sutherland told him he'd beaten Gallagher with brass knuckles. Thomas also testified that a woman named Summer Sky Henry put plastic wrap around Gallagher. The jury heard that Gallagher was left in the garage, tied up in a chair. Thomas says when he checked on Gallagher a few minutes later, she was dead. The defense questioned Thomas about inconsistencies with previous statements to police. Gallagher's remains were found 2 years later along the South Saskatchewan River. The Crown called its final witness today. Scott Larson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan NDP is calling out the Premier and Justice Minister for their role in a confusing news conference in Moose Jaw on Thursday. At that event, which happened on Wednesday, the mayor of Moose Jaw announced that the provincial government had just informed him that his city's homeless shelter needed to move out of the downtown. But a few hours later, the Ministry of Social Services claimed it had not told the city to move its shelter. The NDP's social services critic says the Premier needs to go back to Moose Jaw to make things right.
It was announced yesterday that the province plans to move the city's shelter, but clearly no one bothered to tell the mayor, the Downtown Association, or anyone else in Moose Jaw for that matter. It makes you wonder just where this government puts its priorities.
The John Howard Society, which runs the Willow Lodge shelter, says it was also not informed of any directive to move. As of now, the status of the shelter's future remains unclear. Regina City Council will take a final vote later this month on adopting the province's Safe Public Spaces Act. The act, also known as the Street Weapons Act, gives police the power to seize so-called street weapons. That includes knives, machetes, bear spray, and hypodermic needles. It would also mean people caught in possession could face fines or jail time. That was one of the points of contention between delegates and some councillors at this week's City Council meeting.
Their goal is not to police people going through addictions through the use of this act. I believe that, and our chief of police was very clear in where she stands. But my issue is that this is not something that was written by the Regina Police, is not their legislation.
The bylaw did not reach unanimous consent for a final reading, so there will be a final vote on it on October 22nd. A trailer fire wasn't enough to derail a major Thanksgiving food program in Prince Albert. The city's Grand Council lost 1,500 hampers to a fire Friday night. But as Aisha Ashraf reports, the community rallied to make sure the food program could succeed.
It's a long line, but worth the wait. More than 3,600 families are picking up Thanksgiving hampers from the Prince Albert Grand Council. For organizers, it's proof of how far they've come in just a few days. Last Friday, a trailer filled with 1,500 pre-packed food hampers went up in flames.
A collection of us just kind of raced down here and just getting over the initial shock of losing the hampers that were in the semi.
What followed was an intense scramble to rebuild everything from scratch.
A lot of the goods were destroyed or damaged. So we did collectively decide that we wanted to continue with the project, so we got everybody together and we started getting more groceries and building hampers again, and here we are.
Donations poured in from across the province and as far as Ontario, helping organizers replace what was lost. For Ian Pinchot, the fire inspired him to give his time.
I started volunteering a little bit before this, and then when the trailer went up in flames, just serious sense of loss.
Now, days later, the same people who built those boxes are watching them reach the families they were meant for.
Thank you, I'm good. Thank you so much. Wow.
You know, sometimes bad things can happen, but you can pull yourself together and make good things happen.
And as this year's distribution wraps up, that's exactly what they've done, turning a setback into a show of solidarity. And while organizers say they hope they never face a loss like this again, they now know the community will have their back. Aisha Ashraf, CBC News, Prince Albert.
The Alberta Teachers Association says it will return to the bargaining table with the provincial government after the long weekend. The ATA, which represents 51,000 public school teachers across the province, says exploratory discussions with the employers' bargaining group have led to the scheduling of more formal mediated negotiations.
Today we are standing up to what's going on to public education, a deliberate defunding and attempted privatization of our public system. It is unacceptable.
Hundreds of teachers walked and rallied in downtown Calgary. The teachers CBC spoke with highlighted classroom conditions as the main issue for them. They feel the stress of helping students with complex needs, along with growing class sizes. Well, a bit of a rinse and repeat scenario for us. Not a lot to talk about in our weather these days. It continued to be warm. It was sunny with a slight breeze in Saskatoon and through much of the province. Would you believe it? It's going to get even warmer over these next couple of days, but then things change dramatically as we get into the weekend. And yes, south and central, we may be pulling out that S word. There may be snow on the way. I'll have all the details in your full forecast coming up. After more than 2 years of war, a ceasefire deal has been agreed to in Gaza. Israel has signed it, as has Hamas. The remaining Israeli hostages are expected to be released within days. Cameron McIntosh has the story.
In the center of the Gaza Strip, celebration in this refugee camp. And on the streets of Deir al-Balah, optimism. My feelings are all over the place. You can't imagine, says Mahmoud Abdullah. Displaced 9 times, like most here, he's hoping this deal sticks. In Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, Israelis also cautiously celebrating.
Before it was prayers for hope, and now it's prayers for thankful prayers.
Just days after the second anniversary of the October 7th attack, where Hamas slaughtered more than 1,200 Israelis and kidnapped more than 200 others, igniting a war that has left about 67,000 Palestinians dead, according to Gazan officials. Israel and Hamas are agreeing to phase 1 of a complicated U.S.-led peace plan. Israel will begin to withdraw from Gaza in exchange for the remaining hostages, 20 believed to still be alive.
I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East.
Bombing continued this morning in Gaza. The ceasefire expected to come into effect over the next 24 hours. Amid some big questions, will Hamas disarm? Who will govern Gaza? Will this last? Francois de La Rochelle is a former Canadian diplomat in the Middle East.
I would say no, it's the easiest stage of that of this long process that is ahead.
8 groups are waiting to surge in supplies. Canada among the countries supporting the deal.
We're encouraged, but it's the first phase, and there's more to come.
Thank you, Trump.
Meanwhile, on both sides, there's credit for the self-proclaimed deal and peacemaker Trump, who says he will visit the region to help start a fragile and fraught process. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
This year's Nobel Prize for Literature has been awarded to Hungarian writer Laszlo Krasznahorkig, recognizing a lifetime of work.
It is Laszlo Krasznahorkig's artistic gaze, which is entirely free of illusion and which sees through the fragility of the social order.
Krasznahorkig published his first novel in 1985. In his early 30s, the Nobel Award compares him to Franz Kafka, and dark, absurdist plots fuel much of his writing. He adapted one novel to a movie screenplay, a film that runs 7 hours. He says his original plan was just one book, but that he found himself always wanting to improve. Another day where we have seen nothing but sunshine across much of the province and in Saskatoon. Looking at those gorgeous cloudless skies once again, almost like we're in a cartoon drawing with how neon blue the skies have been these last few days. And as we take a look at our daytime highs now, we'll see that we have reached some pretty warm temperatures once again as well. These are knocked down a little bit compared to Wednesday just because we had a cold front that moved through. We got into the 20s on Wednesday and only into the teens for Thursday, although I think with that high pressure in place, we are going to see another ridge build in, and temperatures will be back into the 20s for some of us for Friday with some sunshine. But once that high pressure departs, there is a big change coming. One of two systems starts to impact our province as we get into late Saturday afternoon and into the early evening hours with some rain showers. Looks like mostly a rain event in the north. Some of that will turn to snow later on. And then a low pressure system moving up from the States early Sunday morning, going to likely bring some rain and possibly some snow as well. This is just one model that we're showing you here. There are a couple of different models that show this will mostly be a rain event. One other model shows it's mostly going to be a snow event. Probably on Friday, we'll have a bit of a better idea of what actually is going to happen here. But places like Regina and Yorkton and down toward Estevan, some snow can't be ruled out, although I think for us it is largely going to be a rainfall event. And there could be some higher totals here, 20 to 30 millimeters, not to be ruled out, especially through southern Saskatchewan, in a corridor up from the southwest all the way through the Regina area into the Parkland region. This is the model that I think gives us the best indication of how much snow is coming, maybe, kind of in the 3 to 5 centimeter range. There are some models, again, that show heavier snow, but I think a lot of that will be wet and will melt on the ground. Again, we'll wait for Friday to get a better idea of snowfall totals there. For northern Saskatchewan, again, it's only really about a centimeter or so that you're expecting. This is mostly going to be a rain event for you folks as we get into Saturday night and early Sunday. And there could be some heavier totals a little bit further south, Cumberland House up toward the Pelican Narrows area, maybe some heavier totals there, but generally 2 to 4 millimeters, I think, expected. In addition to the rain and the messy mix of weather that's heading our way, we're getting some wind moving back in once again, starting to pick up a little bit Friday afternoon, but then it's really Saturday in the wee hours of the morning that we'll start to see those winds at times maybe gusting over 50 kilometers an hour here and there. So enjoy the Rider game on Friday in Regina, because that'll certainly be one of the nicer of the few days, and a really nice Saturday before things come crashing down on Sunday. Again, mostly a rainfall event. With both Regina and Saskatoon, I think we have the possibility come next week of another system moving through, especially on Wednesday, that could bring rain or snow that we'll be watching as well. But in the meantime, enjoy that sunshine and warm weather while it lasts. Well, people across the country are still celebrating after a big win for the Toronto Blue Jays. The team is headed for the American League Championship Series. It's the first time in 9 years, and now the mad scramble is on for tickets. Sheehan Desjardins reports.
The 1-2 pitch. Got him! And the Blue Jays have done it.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on their way to the American League Championship Series. And the hunt is on for fans looking for a seat.
I was not in the secondary market, will not do it. I just went on Ticketmaster. Got the link, went on, stayed in the queue for a long time actually, but ticket showed up.
My boyfriend was also trying and didn't manage to get tickets. I felt a little bit bad, but yeah, I got them, so I gotta get the bragging rights now.
Others weren't so lucky. Tickets went on sale Thursday morning. Thousands waited online, but the resale market is already causing prices to skyrocket.
It was already in my cart, but then it just disappeared for some reason, just the regular tickets. But I think the resale tickets are only available right now, so they're just going for crazy for the 500 level.
Guerrero shoots it down the right field line.
For the Jays, it's a complete 180 from last season.
And there it is!
And after beating one of baseball's most successful franchises, early skepticism about whether the team would even make playoffs this year proven wrong.
From the perspective of all of the parts, the moving parts working together, definitely there's a little bit of magic in that right now.
And Canadians want in. ALCS Jays merch is a hot commodity. And tickets or not, fans are ready for this team to go all the way.
I was born in '93, so I've been waiting for this curse to be broken for many years.
The Jays will take on either the Detroit Tigers or the Seattle Mariners, both cities close to Canadian borders and both likely to draw significant cross-border support for the Toronto team. The Jays will be playing Game 1 here on Sunday with home field and country advantage. Sheehan Desjardins, CBC News, Toronto.
When they announced Miss Rodeo Exhibition, it was a surreal feeling, and it hasn't even been a week yet, and it still feels like a dream.
And when I was learning
That's Abby Hardy, Miss Rodeo Agribition. She's now been crowned Miss Rodeo Canada 2025. She won the competition, which tests contestants in horsemanship, public speaking, and modeling, among other things. Congratulations to her. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Welcome back. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are hoping to claim top spot in the West Division in the CFL with a win this weekend. The 11-4 Riders host the 5-11 Toronto Argonauts Friday night in Regina. Head coach Corey Mace says he is not taking anything for granted. He says the matchup looks good on paper, but the league is stacked with talent and any team can pull off an upset. Still, Mace says his players are focused on what they can control during the game.
We just stick to our process of trying to win each week. The rest of it kind of just takes care of itself. So, would it be really nice, obviously, I think, for our organization, our guys, and the fan base to host a Western final? Yeah, I'm sure. But what's more important right now is going undefeated this week.
I read in a book one time that, something that what motivates soldiers when they're going to war is not the hatred of the enemy, but the love of their brothers. And so I've always just kind of been motivated by the guys in our locker room. And so, tomorrow's go 1-0.
And as you heard there, if the Riders win the division title, they'll host the Western Final next month. Friday night's game against the Argos kicks off at 7 at Mosaic Stadium. And we are expecting some good weather, some good football weather for October for sure. Going overnight tonight, though, Thursday into Friday, a little bit chilly through south and central. A lot of us going to be dropping just slightly below the freezing mark. We'll be looking at some clear skies, though. Bit of a breeze, though. That could feel closer to about -5, -10 in some spots. Up into northern Saskatchewan, again, skies clearing there, especially into northern sections where we've seen a little bit of some cloud cover earlier in the day. But that'll start to cloud back in a little bit by Friday morning, although temperatures really bumping up into those double digits for much of the north into the afternoon as we see 15s, 16s, even 17s on the board for some locations there. Maybe some rain up along the northern border. For south and central, we'll start the day in between about freezing and +5 and then very quickly jump to near 20 degrees in some places as we get near the noon hour. And yes, some of us looking at the low 20s, especially in south central and southwestern areas, as we are seeing a nice sunny day. And again, some breezes near 60 kilometers an hour, especially in that southwest corner of the province. And that is our news for this Thursday. For more news anytime, you can head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.